Hello, cooking enthusiasts. This week's video, I'm going to discuss a little mortadella project I did a few weeks ago. For anybody not in the know, mortadella is an Italian emulsified sausage product. It's actually basically the original bologna. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not above eating some good old North American bologna, but the Italian predecessor is superior in pretty much every way. It's a large format pork sausage containing chunks of pork fat, a nice mixture of spices, generally chunks of black pepper, and sometimes pistachios or other nuts. I will be totally honest, this first attempt didn't come out perfect, but only in the texture category. The flavor was pretty perfect. We didn't quite have the proper sausage casings, so we had to improvise a little bit, and we needed to get a little better at actually getting the sausage to bind. But because the flavor was good, I thought I would still share this. I looked at a few recipes for mortadella and made a few adjustments to come up with my own recipe. But what I really like is that I had made a little mortadella calculator. All of the mortadella recipes I found were for a very specific amount of lean pork, pork fat, and other ingredients. And while the ratio of those ingredients is really important, I don't always have those exact amounts, especially when my family does a project like this. We are often going to be butchering a larger piece of meat into the lean and fat that we use for the sausage. So the first link in the description is my mortadella calculator. You can punch in the exact amount of lean pork you happen to have, and it gives you all of the other necessary measurements. Many of the ingredients are listed as potential ranges of amounts. For example, the amount of chunks of fat in your mortadella and different levels of spices. All of the spices can be used in the different recommended ranges depending on your personal preferences. The only important thing to note is the measurements given for salt and curing salt. It's also scaled to the amount of lean pork you input, but if you are using the smaller amount of fat pieces, you want to use the smaller amount of salt. And obviously, if you choose to use the larger amount of recommended fat pieces, you want to use the larger amounts of salt and curing salt listed. From there, the technique is actually pretty easy, as you've been seeing on screen. You start by grinding your lean pork and your first measurement of pork fat. The KitchenAid grinder isn't great, so I double ground this meat. Once this initial mixture looks pretty homogeneous, you want to start working in your salt and spice mixture as well as your liquids, which should be mostly frozen. We were able to keep the sausage emulsified, but this is the stage we should have worked the mixture a little more so that it bound better in the final result. Once you are happy that the sausage looks worked enough, you can then carefully incorporate your cubes of pork fat, your whole black peppercorns, and in my case, pumpkin seeds and chopped up figs as some nice optional extras. We had one that failed on us, so the rest of our mortadella mixture went into a silicone loaf pan. We vacuum sealed the loaf pan and sous vide it at 70 Celsius for about 4 hours, which you could also do with mortadella in casings. You would then want to cool it down rapidly and let it rest in the fridge overnight. Again, the texture of this first attempt was just a little bit soft, so it couldn't be sliced thinly. I actually ended up cold smoking my mortadella, which ended up tasting really delicious. If you've ever wanted to try a project like this, I really recommend it. Again, you can look up some other recipes to get a really good technique going, but in terms of ingredients, I really recommend checking out my Mortadella Calculator. I'm sure I will be attempting mortadella again and might even make another video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching.